This is the Oculus Quest 2. So this is the successor to the Oculus Quest 1, this headset, which was by far one of the most unique and interesting devices I've ever used in my life, and also one of the best. You can check out our full review of the Quest 1 right here, but long story short, this thing was the very first VR with 6 degrees of freedom that was fully wireless. So imagine this as a PC VR experience with slightly worse graphics, but fully wireless. I was a massive fan of the Quest 1, and now Oculus has sent over the Oculus Quest 2, so this is about 2 weeks before the actual release. So I'm gonna give you guys an early unboxing. So this will be a live unscripted unboxing, and then I'll give you guys my scripted first impressions after testing this for a bit. So get that popcorn ready. I'm super excited to open this baby up and enjoy. Okay, so take a look at the box. We have the Oculus Quest 2 on the front. As you can see, it comes in white from Facebook because Oculus got bought by Facebook. On the bottom, we have just a warning to, obviously, since this is a wireless headset, you need to be careful not to injure anyone else, but it does have a very good guardian system for that. And then on the back, we get a listing of some of the games that you can play. So Star Wars, I think this is probably unreleased. The Climb 2, I think this is also unreleased. Beat Saber, one of my favorite games. And then you get a bit of a description of what you get new in terms of the Quest 2. So next gen, next level hardware, easy setup, and backwards compatible. And just like with the Apple boxes, we do have a seal right here. So let me just break the seal. Crazy excited, guys. So the Oculus Quest 1 was one of my favorite pieces of tech ever. It was absolutely amazing. So there we go. Then you just slide out the, oh, this is nice. So you get this, wow, okay. So it's a bit difficult to show, but it also has a white frame, the box itself. And wow, there you go, the Oculus Quest 2. I gotta say the presentation of this is pretty amazing. So they've improved the packaging, so that's the controller, much bigger than, we'll compare this in just a second. And then we get the Oculus Quest 2 just sitting there. No strap, interesting enough. So this is the glass spacer. If you have any glasses, you can use that. And then I believe the strap is literally in here. So nothing else inside the box aside from these instructions to remove the battery. So you just need to pull this tab to activate the batteries. Nothing else inside the box, so let me just take a closer look at the headset itself. Move lenses left or right to find the clearest view. So it seems like I was actually wrong. The strap is actually on the Quest itself already. So I'm assuming that in that box, we actually have, in this one, the charger and the cable. So there you go. Just gonna remove these. You have to be very, very careful with the lenses, by the way. So if you expose these to bright daylight sunlight, essentially, you're gonna burn the screen, so you have to be very, very careful. But at the same time, this is an LCD display now, which is a bit of a downgrade from last year's OLED, but just in terms of the technology, other than that, we have a higher refresh rate display, 90 Hz compared to 72 Hz, and also a high resolution display as well. All right, I just wanna have a quick look at what we get inside this tiny, tiny box. Let's see. So we get the instruction manual. This is so nice. I really love this packaging. So inside of this, we get reference guide, safety and warranty guide. There you go. So how to adjust the strap, how to clean the lenses. Again, no direct sunlight because that can literally kill the display. Even though it's LCD, you can still burn it because the lenses basically act like a magnifying glass. And then we of course get the charger and the charging cable, which by the way is quite a bit shorter now. So I think this is just a 2 meter or even a 1 meter cable, which means that you won't be able to play while this thing is charging. So you'll have to buy a separate cable, link in the description if you want to purchase one, by the way. Get it? Link in the description. Right, so let's take a look at the headset itself and the controllers and compare them against the Oculus Quest 1's headset and controller. Okay, so starting off with a headset comparison first, as you can probably tell, the Oculus Quest 2 is quite a bit smaller than the Quest 1, which means that it's also lighter, which means that it's also more comfortable. Now they have changed the strap, so this was the previous one, which was made out of rubber. It was pretty uncomfortable, I gotta say that. This one seems even more basic. Now, I'm not sure if this is more comfortable than this or not, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter because Oculus is now selling a separate strap, a deluxe strap, which you can buy separately, and it costs, I think, £50 in the UK or $50. And even if you buy that strap, the Quest 2 is still $50 or £50 cheaper than the original Quest was, so that's pretty nuts. Now, I have purchased a deluxe strap myself, but that will only be delivered alongside my personal Quest. This is the review unit, so unfortunately we don't have that to test, but I'm just going to do a quick test and see how comfortable this thing is. So, I know I'm gonna mess up my hair. Okay, so it's definitely lighter than the Quest 1, I gotta say that. The Quest 2 is noticeably lighter. I would say probably like 30% lighter, if not more. Okay, so just right off the bat, it's not that front heavy as the Quest 1 was. So I would say even using the strap, it already feels from like 5 seconds of wearing it more comfortable than the Quest 1 felt. So yes, I do have headphones attached to that, to the Quest 1. Yeah, so this feels very, very front heavy, even after adjusting it. So it's not very comfortable, whereas this one, even with the stock strap, oh, this is so much better. Yeah. Do you need to buy the deluxe strap? I would say this is actually better than I expected, but from all the reviews that I've seen, pretty much everyone was saying that the deluxe strap is so much better than this. So I would say it's worth it. Now, something that unfortunately Oculus has removed is that on the Quest 1, I don't know if you can see, we had this IPV or intra-pupillary distance adjustment slider, so you could actually bring the lenses closer or move them further away to match your actual distance between your eyes and, you know, make the image clearer. Now, on the Oculus Quest 2, we no longer have that, so you actually have to manually move the lenses like that, and you get 3 settings, 1, 2, 3. So yeah, it's not really that great. You have 2 displays, 2 OLED displays on this one versus 1 massive LCD display, which means that it's so much easier to adjust this one because the displays themselves can actually move independently to make the image clearer, whereas on this one, that display is fixed. So I'll talk about that in my actual first impressions. Right, in terms of ports, so on the Oculus Quest 2, we have 2 headphone jack ports, 1 on each side. We have a USB Type-C port on the left. We have the power button on the right, and then we have the volume button and that IPV adjustment on the bottom. Now on the Oculus Quest 2, let's see, we have nothing on the left. We have the volume button on the bottom, so that's basically in the same position. They moved it to the right, I believe now. Yeah, so that's now to the right as opposed to the left, which I think is better. Apologies for the noise, just my headphones. Other than that, we have the power button and, oh, okay, so it's actually not as wide. Okay, interesting. I thought it was literally this wide. It was quite nice, but this was just a sticker, so it's actually it's actually gray, so it's not perfectly white. And then we have the power button and the USB Type-C charger and 1 single headphone jack. Unfortunately, in my case, I'll have to buy some new headphones because these ones just won't reach. So I'll need to buy some new headphones, unfortunately. Now, in terms of the actual controllers, let's take a look and see what's changed. So this is the left controller. And let's see, so this circle is now an actual circle where the buttons are. So this thing, as you can tell, the big circle with the LED lights is also, or the infrared lights, is actually a bit bigger now as well. And the whole controller is much bulkier, quite a bit heavier. And apparently this battery door, yeah, it's much more difficult to remove. Whereas on this one, it actually kept coming off whenever I was playing Beat Saber. So that was quite inconvenient, but on this one, that shouldn't really be a problem. They have changed the trigger on the back, as you can probably tell. So now it's just click here, it's much bigger. The trigger on the right is also much deeper. I don't know if you can tell. Other than that, the buttons are, I'm not sure what this thing is. Can you see that? It's a bit difficult to tell. So there's like a circle here, that one, which looks like a touch area or something. I don't know what that is for. And that's actually missing from the Quest 1 controller. Okay, and now we have the right controller, and this one, pretty much same story. So this circle is bigger, the buttons feel basically the same. They're not as tall, so the buttons on the Quest 1 controller are actually taller, which means that you can press them a bit further down compared to these ones on the Quest 2. But other than that, same trigger, yeah, so controller, very similar to the previous one, just bigger and bulkier. Right, so that's pretty much it in terms of my actual unboxing experience. Now, I really want to use this thing for a bit, so I'll be back probably later today, or if not the next day. I'll test this properly, and then I'll give you guys my actual first impressions with the Quest 2. Back. So this is the following day now. I've been using the Quest 2 for about half a day or so, and here's what I found. Good and bad. So starting off with the good, the headset is indeed more comfortable. It is not perfect, but I can confidently say that after using this for about 1 hour straight, it was noticeably more comfortable than the Quest 1 strap was. If the Quest 2's default strap is a 10 in terms of comfortability, the Quest 1 strap is about a 7. So not a gigantic difference, but more comfortable indeed. Still, I would advise you to buy that deluxe head strap instead for the ultimate experience. Link in the description. Next up, the audio, guys, was so much better on the Quest 2. Like, the speakers had more bass, they were also louder, and the overall audio experience now truly felt like 3D, whereas before it kind of felt like you had a smartphone strapped to your head, and that was basically it. So if the speakers are a 10 on the Quest 2, then the Quest 1 speakers are a 5, so pretty big difference here. Now, another upgrade is of course in terms of the resolution. So not only do we have a much higher resolution display now, but because of the way more powerful processor, the Qualcomm XR2 chip, compared to the Snapdragon 835, which is the same chip as in the Galaxy S7, the games are indeed rendered at a higher resolution. I've noticed the resolution increased the most when it came to text. So text was significantly sharper and so much easier to read on the Quest 2 when compared to the Quest 1. Now, most games haven't actually been updated to take full advantage of the Quest 2 just yet, meaning that they will still render in the Quest 1's resolution and at the same 72 frames per second, as the Quest 1 had a 72Hz display. So in the main menu and a few games as well, if the Quest 2 has a sharpness of 10, the Quest 1 has about 6. So I was honestly expecting a bigger difference here, especially in the menu. So it is sharper, but not as sharp as I was expecting. However, the games that have been updated, such as Red Matter, those games look absolutely stunning. So developers have also increased the resolution of the textures in Red Matter. So now even the rocks further away from you are perfectly visible, whereas on the Quest 1, they were a pixelated mess. So in Red Matter, for example, if the Quest 2 gets a 10, the Quest 1 gets a 4. So massive difference here, again, as long as games and apps are actually updated to take advantage of the high resolution display and the more processing power in the Quest 2. Another big positive that I've noticed is just how fast the UI was. Anything you do is pretty much instant now. It kind of feels like upgrading from an old iPad, let's say the iPad Air 2, to a 2020 iPad Pro. Like, the speed of this headset is very noticeable indeed. And the haptics have also been improved considerably in the controllers. So the haptic response is much deeper and also much stronger now. If the Quest 2 gets a 10 for haptics, the Quest 1 gets a 5. So again, a pretty big difference here as well. Now, these are pretty much the big positives that I've noticed from using the Quest 2 so far. So now let's move on to the negatives. The main one being the black levels. So since we do not longer have an OLED display on the Quest 2, but an LCD panel instead, the blacks would not be pure blacks like on the Quest 1, but instead they will be very grayish. Now, this does depend on the game that you play, but in some games, such as The Exorcist or The Room, this was very noticeable indeed. And it was a pretty big downgrade actually from the Quest 1. So if the Quest 1 was a 10 in terms of black levels, the Quest 2 is a 4. So pretty big downgrade here. Okay, but is this that big of an issue? Well, I would say not really, because you see, most games aren't that dark. So in games such as Beat Saber or even Red Matter, I couldn't really tell any major difference between the Quest 1 and the Quest 2, as those games were quite a bit brighter. Now, another massive negative is that you will actually lose all of your saves when you upgrade from the Quest 1 to the Quest 2. Like, I was not expecting this. Oculus still doesn't have a cloud sync feature, so I have no idea how they were not able to have one on time for the Quest 2's release. But yeah, unfortunately, I actually lost all of my saves in all of my games just by upgrading to the Quest 2. I mean, yes, you do keep all of your achievements on your Oculus account, so at least there's that, but you will have to start each game from scratch if you upgrade from the Quest 1 to the Quest 2. But again, luckily I don't see that many people doing that. I think the main audience for the Quest 2 is just people that actually don't have a VR headset at all. Now, another big negative that I've noticed is in terms of LCD ghosting. So because this is an LCD display instead of an OLED, the pixel's response time is actually higher than that of an OLED display. And because of this, you'll notice a lot of ghosting, mostly when moving your head around areas in where there's a lot of text displayed. So it's pretty bad, but my understanding is that once 90 Hz gets enabled, which fun fact, it is not enabled just yet, like we only have 72 Hz for now. Once we do get 90 Hz, then this should lower that ghosting effect to bring the Quest 2 more in line to how the Quest 1 was. And the final negative that I've found is in terms of that IPD slider. So on the Quest 1, I had it set to 63, which interesting enough is actually the IPD for the second setting on the Quest 2. So on the Quest you have 3 settings. The first one is 58, the second one is 63, and the third one is 68, but you don't have anything other than that. So for me it's fine, as again I had it 63, but for anyone else who had like 65 or 59 or anything in between, on the Quest 1, you might experience some blurriness on the Quest 2. Okay, so in the end, is the Oculus Quest 2 worth it? Well, obviously I cannot answer that because this is not the full review, this is just my first impressions, but from my first impressions, funny enough, I thought that this would be a massive upgrade over the Quest 1, and in some ways it actually is. But especially now when barely any games have been optimized to take advantage of that extra power, and the fact that 90 Hz hasn't been enabled just yet, at this point in time, if you already have a Quest 1, I would say you should not upgrade. But for new buyers, this is really the ultimate VR experience, as it's not just a mobile VR headset, but you can also connect it to an actual PC using an Oculus Link cable and use it as a PC VR headset that way too. Oh, and fun fact, in case you're wondering, if you still have an Oculus Quest 1 travel case, the Quest 2 will actually still fit in that. But yeah, anyways, I need to test this more and mostly wait for developers to actually update their apps, so stay tuned for the full in-depth review of the Quest 2 coming out in about a month. In the meantime, you can check out the Quest 1 review and definitely subscribe if you want to see more fun and in-depth tech videos like this one hopefully was. Become a member to support the channel by clicking the join button, and this has been pretty much it. So thank you for watching, I'm Daniel, this has been ZONEofTECH, and I'll see you guys in the next one. ZONEofTECH, signing out. Cheers.